about attachment styles. And I want to dive a little deeper into Eli. You've been listening to me for a while, if you have been, and I'm a disorganized attachment. It was a rough one when I took a test with a partner, ex-partner, and she was secure attachment and I was disorganized. And I always thought I was an avoidant. And maybe there were some moments of anxiety, but I always saw myself as an avoidant attachment. I never took the test. I took the test like 4 times. Disorganized, disorganized, disorganized. And it said it's the most dysfunctional one. And I felt like a second class citizen. I felt like I should go on the run and go into hiding. I felt like the Incredible Hulk. That I should just like, be naked and hide in third world countries, from the government. That's how I felt as a disorganized. But as I've been doing this personal wellness coaching, as I've been working with people throughout the years, as I've been discovering myself and doing the work in myself for years, I realized something. Your attachment style is not who you are. Your attachment style does not dictate the type of person that you're meant to be. And everyone has some sort of attachment style. Everyone has some sort of something. And as someone who was totally dysfunctionally disorganized and is now still disorganized, I'll never say that I'm secure now. I won't say that because I'm still a human being and these things are rooted, but I know how to deal with it. I know how to manage it. So we're going to dive into a little bit about me and dive into a little bit of how to deal with that avoidant. Because I'm in these digital streets, I'm in these digital swamplands, and I'm seeing ladies struggling out here. I see people struggling in general with avoidance. But I always challenge them with the fact that, yes, avoidance can be problematic, can have a lot of issues, but I think the worst thing is that they just know how to exactly trigger your anxiety. And the age-old tale, the old cat and mouse, the old tug-of-war is the person in their anxious that wants this avoidant, that pushes the avoidant away, and that just makes the anxious more anxious. There's one thing to have an attachment style. There's another thing to not be self-aware that you have one, and that it can play in part of how you deal with stress, how you deal with talking to a partner, dealing with issues. The number one thing is self-awareness. Before we get into anything when it comes to attachment smiles. What a nicer episode if those attachment smiles. Attachment styles. We got to understand the fact that everyone has it in some capacity. Some people have been through some stuff than others, so they develop that. Others haven't, but everyone is it's either sparks in certain individuals or not. Like that avoidant person can make the anxious person super anxious. Maybe they were secure. Like I made my ex-partner very anxious in our dynamic because in moments of tension, I would be avoiding. But when she would turn off and kind of push away, then I started getting anxious. So that's where my disorganized came in. But I think the number one thing is to realize if you're not self-aware of your attachment style, and if you're not self-aware that it could dictate and get in the way of conversations and connection with the partner, that is where you're in trouble. The number one key is self-awareness. And even you listening right now, I don't care if you sit on the toilet or driving to work or whatever, really kind of think about what I'm talking about here. I'm not avoiding Eli. I don't avoid things. I need to know. I need to talk about it. I need to hear it. Okay, you might be anxious then, boo-boo. You might be a little anxious. And it's maybe important that we kind of sit in our feelings and ask ourselves a question. How do I deal with stressful situations? How do I deal in moments of fear? How do I act and not react in moments where the person in front of me, I don't know if I can trust?
The Self-Hype Podcast. Self-Hype Podcast.